Hi, this is Dawn, and I just want to show you a couple things about navigation in Blackboard. One of the things I think students do often is they get confused with navigation when you have a lot of different things in here that you don't necessarily need. So I do have a bunch of stuff in here, and it's in a weird order that maybe I don't necessarily need in here. So in my navigation area, which is this area right here, which is the area that the students see, you'll notice that there are two different types of things generally that are here. There's usually tools like announcements. Announcements have a sort of fab thing in Blackboard that you can take care of. So there's the announcement area, and that's a tool. Another tool would be the My Grades area, the group area. Those are all discussion. Those are all tools. But there's also content areas where I could put my content. Like this one here, information. That's a content area. I've got the build content, assessment, tools, and partner content. And those are usually always up there on that. But if we're going to clean up this navigation bar, we're going to want to maybe get rid of some tools we don't use. For instance, I'm not going to use the calendar. So to get rid of the calendar tool, I just hover over it next to it, and you'll see a little down arrow come up. And that down arrow, if I click on it, I can delete it. It's going to ask me a couple times if I'm sure I want to delete this item from students. And the thing about a tool is you can always get a tool back. It really doesn't get rid of it. It just gets rid of the doorway for students in it. So that brings up a good point. So if you're using Blackboard purely as a pass-through to some other content that maybe a textbook publisher has, or some other content you're using, and you don't want them looking at your grade book, I would get rid of the My Grades tool, because that is going to be something that is just not useful to them. So I'm going to delete the menu item, and I'm going to delete it. But it's gone, but if I want to, I can always bring it back. I'm going to go to the plus sign, and I'm going to go to Tool Link. And then from Tool Link, I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to find My Grades, which is right here. I have to give it then a name here. I'm going to make it available to students and then submit. It'll come down at the end, and I can use this two-headed arrow over here. When I'm on top of it, I'll see a four-headed arrow. Then I can click on it and drag it up to wherever I want it to be within this. Just let go of it, and then it settles in there. You can also rename the tools. So if you're doing some sort of gaming sort of thing, gamification of your class or something like that, you could rename the discussion board. Just right click on it there, rename, and it brings up a little box here where you can rename it, and then just hit the plus sign and it'll accept your changes. So the other thing that we have here is content area. Like I have this menu item up here that's called Start Here. You know what? I know that this content area here is empty because it has a little box here that says it's empty and has no content. So I could delete this safely. But here I have my information one, and you'll notice that I've got content in here. If I get rid of the information, I get rid of all the content that's built within there. So you want to be very careful getting rid of content areas. So you may just want to hide that from students. So if I hover over here and I click down, I can hide this link. And you'll notice when I hide the link that there is a box, but this time it has a line through the box. That means that that item is hidden from students. So if I go to a student view here, you're going to notice that that one disappears. I can toggle back on the instructor view, and I can see the information here. Again, if I turn it off, you don't see the information. So I would really clean those up. Take the ones out you don't use so they don't confuse students. Put the ones in that you do use so that the students can find the information that they want. One last thing I want to show you was there are these dividers here. And you know what? You can move those dividers so that you can group content together, maybe to make it easier to find. If you want to, you can get rid of them too. The down arrow, I have a delete, and it's just going to delete my little bar there, and I delete it, and then it's gone. I can add one in if that's helpful. So if I can click on here, and that is a divider right there. So that's what makes it go in. See, a new one came down at the bottom, and I can drag it and put it wherever I want to. So just a little bit about cleaning up this area right here, the navigation for the students, so that it makes it easier for them to find and locate your materials.